Message Anonymous, and we have a new studio area. We put all this wallpaper, if you couldn't tell by the little intro clip, but
pretty easy to do.
It was very cool, and it looks really nice.
Yeah, now we have a place to record without a green screen.
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit cleaner.
And I can wear green shirts.
There you go. But for today's video, what are we going to do, Meg?
We're going to make a quilting label.
A quilting label as suggested by one of you viewers. So thank you very much for the idea. And we're going to go ahead and do a basically beginning to end design of a quilting label and embroider it out. Hopefully helpful to some of you out there making quilts and wanting to label your work and sending messages to your loved ones.
Sistergram, see how we do. Okay, so we're in Inkscape and we're just going to go ahead and design it. So what size hoop are we using?
So we set it up to use our 4x4 template because I think what we're going to do is we're going to make a 3x3 label.
It sounds like a good size.
Yeah, it seems like a
reasonable
size. Yeah, and for the design we're going to go pretty simple. We're just going to do a trace bitmap of a simple scroll, and then we're going to put some text in there, you know, who it's to and who made it, and then we'll try stitching it out. But to start, again, we just started in our 4x4 template, and I'm going to go ahead and just make a simple box that's going to be 3x3. So I'm going to start it in this upper corner so I can use the measurements on the top and side here. And when I start at this top corner, it's going to be 0, 0. So I'm going to drag this box out to 3, 3, down a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, but right there is actually perfect. Then what we're going to do is we're going to change the width. We're just going to do a straight seam around the edge just for a simple border. So we're going to change this thickness and change this to a dash line. And now that we have our box, I'm going to go ahead and move this to the middle of our work area. That's good right there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of do it off to the side here, is I'm going to bring in an image of the scroll we want to use, which is this scroll here. Import our image from our downloads. Calligraphy scroll, open. Okay. And there it is, oversized. So I'm going to hit the Control key and move it so it doesn't warp. And I just want to get it to the rough size that I want it. And I'll move it in here. That's not too bad. What do you think? A little bit bigger?
Really good. I think that's a good size.
You think it's a good size? I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. That's good. Okay, so now I'm going to move it off to the side, and I'm going to do a trace bitmap. Now, we're going to do something that we haven't used before in trace bitmap, which is a centerline stitch, because of what I want to happen is I want this to be a satin stitch as it goes around here. And if we did a regular trace bitmap, what it would do it would create nodes, node line that goes all the way around on the outside and on the inside of it, and it would just be a fill stitch in the middle. And I don't think that would look too good on something as narrow as this. So instead, we're going to do, zoom in a little bit here. We're going to do a trace bitmap, and then we're going to change this. It normally defaults for us to brightness cutoff, and we're going to select the centerline tracing, and this is going to put a centerline trace in this. Update that. Okay. So now I can drag this off, and you can see there is my centerline stitch. I'm going to close this. That's in the way.
We should probably make it thicker because it's very thin.
Exactly. So I'm going to move it into place. And now all we have to do, because this is a single line, if I go into the node viewer, you can see it's just a single line, which is perfect for a satin column. But it is very thin, so we are going to thicken it up by going into our stroke style, and we're going to make sure this is now going to be a solid line, and we're going to thicken this up. That's not too bad.
Not at all.
No, not at all. Okay, so let's see how this will look if we embroider it out. Okay, so you can see it's stitched out fine, exactly what we want, a satin stitch all the way around, but it did jump around quite a bit. So we're going to do the restacking. Also, I think I want to get rid of these pieces. I don't really think that's necessary. So what I'm going to do, you can see this is a combined object. So I can't select this little piece here or this little piece here without uncombining. And of course, there's several different ways to do it. We can hit Shift Command K, or we just go to Path and break apart. And that'll give me each individual piece. You can see it's made up of a lot of different pieces, and what we want to do is restack it so it kind of goes in somewhat of an order. But before we do that, I want to delete some pieces here. I'm gonna select where I think each of these things should go.
I don't know if that's better.
Yeah, that didn't really do much better. So I'm going to actually undo that. So we're going to leave that like that for now. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a name in here for who this quilt is for. And one little trick, because we're going to put some text in here, you can't just curve text on its own. There's kind of a trick to it. So I'm just going to enter name, and now we can go through the task of picking a font, which is always fun.
I think we should do a cursive one.
Yeah, I think a nice cursive font will be good. Go ahead and apply that.
That's a good font.
Yeah, and we'll make it a little bit bigger. Okay, but you can see here, name is straight, and if you had a longer name, it wouldn't go along this curve. So the trick is you have to put this on a curve. So we're going to basically copy this curve here, and we're going to use the Bezier tool, and we're just going to plot a point here and here. And that will make a straight line. And now we're going to go to the node tool, and we're going to bend this to match the curve of that line, just like that. And now we're going to go back into the selection tool, and we're going to move it off because we're not, ugh, don't do that. All right, we're going to move this on a layer. Okay, so now we're going to hide that scroll so we can see the line. Okay. All right, much better. We're going to move this also to the name layer. Now, another thing that would have helped if I just changed the color of that line. So just so we know. Okay, but now I have this, my name, and I want to put it on this curve because I want it to curve the same way. Again, if your name is longer, it will matter more in this particular scroll, but it may matter for you. So how we do that is we're going to, in the text area, is we're going to put on a path. So we're going to select both. So I'm going to hit Shift, the name, and the curve, and then I'm going to go to Text, Put on Path. And you can see here, now it has moved it onto that path. And now when I select only this name, I can move it. And it will be a little bit, I can double click it to straighten it out. But you can see it stays on that curve. So the problem here is because this is now attached to this path you can't delete until you convert this from text to a path. So I know this is confusing, but it's text right now. I can edit the text. You see how the little line came up there? I can change the name to something else.
But once you put it object to path, you can't.
Right, so now what I need to do is I need to go to path and turn this object to path. Now I can delete this line and my name is still curved, so that's good. That's what I wanted. And since we're here and I don't want things to get confusing with different colors and stuff, so I'm just going to go ahead and change the color now. That's not bright enough. There. And I'm not going to use these colors. Now I'm going to move this into its spot. Good there? All right, so now we're just going to add our message. So just put more text on here and just do something simple like made with love by Project Anonymous. All right, so what font are we going to use again? The same font?
Maybe like typewriter or Arial Black.
Okay, that sounds good. And we'll go a little bit smaller. Apply. All right, that's actually pretty good. Maybe a tad bit bigger. What do you think?
Yeah.
18?
Sure.
All right. So now, all we got to do is making sure our message is good, what we want, because we're going to convert this to a path. And then we're going to ungroup it so that we can move the individual pieces where we want. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this. Move it in the middle. Looks good to you? Looks good to me. All right, pretty simple. And obviously we can change the colors here.
Maybe like a baby blue and pink.
As long as it's different enough for your sewing machine to understand, it should be okay. All right, easy? Good? Okay.
That's really nice.
Yeah, not too bad. And let's go ahead and view this guy.
I'm sure it will look great.
Oh, looks like we got an error. Let's see what's going on. All right, so we're getting this. We're going to use a tool we just heard about. So we're going to leave everything selected. And then we're going to go to Ink Stitch, Fill Tools, Break Apart, Fill Objects. Apply. Close. Let's try that again. What happened to our J? Oh, it was not selected. Interesting. Forgot about that guy. All right, I'm going to do a little bit more work reordering this because I really don't like the fact that it goes back and forth a lot. But you can see it's made up of a ton of little individual paths here, and it's kind of hard to distinguish where they begin and end. So I'm going to do some work here organizing this a little bit better. We'll try that again.
So it looks really good. A lot less jump stitches.
Yep, which is exactly what we wanted. So go ahead and hit apply and quit for this one. this guy again. Make sure we get all our letters this time. All right, what do we got here? So let's go ahead and use our tool again. Let's go ahead and select the order that we want this to stitch out. We're just going to go in order here. And we're going to go to restack. All right, so we got that to sew in order now with everything, and everything works right. Applying quit, and now we're going to finally select the entire project. Whoa.
Zoomed out a little too far
Out a
there.
little too far. And while I'm here, just in case we wanted to switch colors later on, I'm going to go ahead and change this to another color. And I know I'm not going to use this green color on here, but what I'm doing is I'm just creating an opportunity for me to change my mind later and change the color of this outline if I wanted to later. But let's see what this is all going to look like together. All right, so just like that, we have a nice simple quilt label that we can put on a quilt and lets them know the person we made the quilt for.
And who it's by.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and export this real quick. Save as. And this is going to be our quilt label. And we're going to save this as a zip format because we want to save both our embroidery PES file and our SVG. And that's it. Let's move that PES file to our zip drive and go to the machine.
So we made this quilting label for a 4x4 hoop, but you could easily make it for any size you want. And we're also just using some normal fabric. It's called square quilting fabric.
Yep, it's 100% cotton quilting fabric. And we're going to put some tearaway stabilizer behind it and put in our 4x4 hoop. And again, if you wanted to create your label a little bit larger, that's okay. You just use your larger hoop. But we have this pre-cut stabilizer for our 4x4 hoop that works really nicely that we like to use. So that's why we're going to use our 4x4 hoop for this one. Alternatively, we could, as long as our label was at least just 4x4, we could make this material as large as we need to and just sit around it. But let's go ahead and spray some of this. Let's do it off to the side so we don't mess up our mat. Go ahead and put this on here. All right, you want to magic trick this?
Sure. Should I snap it or toss it?
I don't care. Let's do it.
So it just finished and it looks really good.
Yeah, turned out really great. And again, we sized it for 3x3 patch here, but you could make that whatever size you want, obviously, and whatever size hoop you'd like to use to do that. Obviously, with some leftover material on the side, we'll be able to fold this over and sew it into any kind of quilt that we would want to do. You also notice we changed the colors up quite a bit, and again, what we design color-wise kind of doesn't really matter. What matters is what thread that we use, and by making everything a different color, we have the option to stop the machine and change out the color if we like, or if we decide we want the color to all be the same, we could do the same thing and just press through the design and stitch it all out in one color if we wanted to. But this was pretty nice, easy.
Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like it if you liked it.
Like it.
Subscribe if you enjoy our content.
Subscribe.
And turn on those notifications so you get my every single time we post a video. Stay crafty.
And be happy.
Bye!